In the dead of night, a man steps into a world most fear to even whisper about. A world cloaked in white hoods, burning crosses, and secrets that could get you killed. This is the Ku Klux Klan network of terror, loyalty, and blind hatred. But tonight, the shadows are about to be pierced. One man will walk among them, unnoticed, undetected, undercover. His mission: to gather evidence that could bring down one of the most dangerous hate groups in America. Every word he speaks, every handshake, every smile could be the difference between life and death. And yet, he enters willingly. Why? Because the truth demands it. Welcome to the world behind the hood. Welcome to the KKK, like you've never seen before. To understand the world, as the Klan grew bolder, the FBI realized that traditional surveillance was no longer enough. They needed someone on the inside, someone who could walk through the fiery crosses and whisper threats without raising suspicion. The stakes were enormous. The Bureau's mission was clear: infiltrate the KKK, gather irrefutable evidence of criminal activity, and dismantle the organization from within. But executing such a plan was anything but simple. One wrong move, one slip of the tongue, and an agent could be exposed, with deadly consequences. To carry out this mission, the FBI handpicked a candidate, someone who could blend, observe, and survive. Years of preparation would go into training this agent, teaching him the Klan's codes, rituals, and even their twisted ideology enough to be convincing, but never enough to compromise his own moral compass. Every move was calculated, every contact scrutinized. The Bureau developed a meticulous blueprint, mapping the Klan's chapters, leaders, and secret communications. They knew that to succeed, their agent would need to earn trust, truly become one of them, while secretly documenting the organization's every illegal act. This was no ordinary assignment. It was a mission that required nerves of steel, absolute patience, and an unwavering commitment to justice. The FBI's secret plan wasn't just to observe, it was to play a deadly game of deception where the slightest misstep could cost a life. And so, the stage was set. The agent was ready to step into the shadows, to become the unseen eyes and ears inside one of America's most dangerous domestic terror groups. Every great operation has a hero hidden in plain sight. In this case, the hero was an FBI agent whose real identity would have to vanish into the shadows. For months, he trained, tirelessly memorizing names, learning secret handshakes, understanding the Klan's twisted rituals, and internalizing the rhetoric of hate. To infiltrate the KKK, he couldn't just walk in. He had to become the Klan. He adopted a new persona, complete with a fabricated background that matched the type of man the clan trusted. Yes, but one who could navigate the dangerous psychology of the organization without losing his own moral center. He studied the clan's symbols, their coded language, and even their secret signs. Every detail mattered. One slip of the mask could mean death. The agent's life became a delicate balancing act, projecting loyalty to a group built on hatred while secretly collecting evidence for the law. Friends, family, and colleagues only knew pieces of the story. Behind closed doors, the agent transformed himself, learning to hide fear under a calm exterior, to respond to threats with conviction, and to build trust with men who had killed, intimidated, and terrorized communities for decades. This was more than undercover work. It was a psychological battle. He had to think like them, anticipate their moves, and yet never allow the darkness to consume him. And so, with training complete and a fabricated identity fully forged, the man prepared to step into a world that was as terrifying as it was secretive, the world of the Ku Klux Klan. Preparation was everything. One misstep could expose him, and in the world of the KKK, exposure meant danger, sometimes deadly. Before stepping into the cult's shadowy circles, the agent meticulously studied their patterns, their gatherings, initiation rituals, and the hierarchy of power that kept fear and loyalty intertwined. He practiced conversations over and over, rehearsing how to agree without seeming too eager, how to ask questions without raising suspicion. His mind became a battlefield of dual identities, the law-abiding agent on one side, and the convincing Klan sympathizer on the other. Technology became his ally. Hidden recorders, cameras, and encrypted communication devices were tested and retested. Every tool had to be undetectable, reliable, and capable of capturing the truth without compromise. Psychological preparation was even more grueling. The agent visualized confrontations, imagined the potential threats, and rehearsed how to handle hostility from men trained to intimidate. He knew he would have to witness hatred firsthand and yet remain emotionally detached enough to survive and report back. Physical readiness was equally vital. Self-defense drills, situational awareness exercises, and even studying escape routes became part of his daily routine. The agent wasn't just entering a group, he was walking into a ticking time bomb of ideology, secrecy, and potential violence. Finally, the day came. With his new identity solidified, the tools in place, and his nerves steeled, he was ready to step across the threshold. What awaited him inside the Klan was unknown. But one thing was certain: the line between observer and participant would blur, and every move he made would carry consequences far beyond his own life. The moment of first contact was like stepping into a storm. Every step toward the Klan's local gathering, brought the agent closer to danger and deeper into a world built on fear, secrecy, and hate. He arrived under the cover of night, the dim streetlights casting long, trembling shadows. Every instinct screamed caution, every sense heightened. Faces obscured by hoods whispered conversations. The smell of burning wood from distant ritual firesall of it was a calculated test of his composure. The members were wary. Trust was not given. It was earned or forced. The agent approached with a mix of confidence and careful humility, introducing himself with the right words, gestures, and shared ideology that he had memorized. One wrong phrase, one hesitation could unravel everything. Inside the room, the air was thick with tension. Cigars smoked, voices muttered, and eyes scanned him, measuring, calculating. These were men bound together by a shared fanaticism, each one a potential threat, yet also a puzzle piece in the greater plan he had been sent to dismantle. Small tests came quickly. He was asked to recount his background, his beliefs, and his loyalty. Every answer had to be precise, yet believable. Every reaction observed, every micro-expression recorded in his mind. Failure was not an option, not ever. And yet, beneath the fear, the agent noticed the cracks. Paranoia, overconfidence, rivalries. These human weaknesses were subtle, almost invisible, but they would become the keys to infiltrating deeper into the Klan's inner circle. This was only the beginning. The first handshake, the first nod of recognition, was a door opening into a shadowy underworld where power, prejudice, and danger intertwined. From this point on, every move mattered, every word counted, and the agent knew he had to remain invisible while gathering the truths that would one day bring these men to justice. The night of the oath was unlike anything the agent had ever faced. It wasn't just a ritual, it was a gateway, a binding contract steeped in secrecy and danger. Every word, every gesture carried weight beyond comprehension. He was led to a clearing far from prying eyes, where the air was thick with anticipation, something darker, something almost tangible that pressed on his chest with every step. The hooded figures formed a circle around a crackling bonfire, flames dancing like ghostly fingers against the shadows. The agent's heart raced, but he kept his expression steady. This was no longer a test of bravery alone. It was a test of survival. Members chanted oaths, swearing allegiance, promising loyalty to a cause rooted in hatred and fear. When it came his turn, he had to mirror their conviction perfectly. Every syllable rehearsed, every pause calculated. One slip, one hint of hesitation, and he would be exposed, not just humiliated, but potentially harmed. The ceremony escalated, moving from words to actions, a mix of symbolism and intimidation, designed to solidify trust and unity. He felt the weight of centuries-old traditions pressing down, an invisible force binding each man to the next. Observing it, he knew the power of their ritual. It was not just about loyalty, it was about control. Inside, he cataloged everything. Every chant, every gesture, every subtle glance between members was a piece of the puzzle. The secret signs, the codes whispered in the night, would later become evidence. But here, now, he had to become one of them, indistinguishable from the men who could destroy him in an instant. By the time the ceremony ended, the agent had crossed an invisible threshold. He was no longer merely observing, he was participating. And in that act, he stepped fully into the shadowy heart of the clan, carrying with him the dangerous knowledge that he could never turn back. Once inside, the meetings revealed a side of the clan few outsiders ever saw. It wasn't just bonfires and otsit with strategy, planning, and a chilling sense of purpose. Every member had a role, every word weighed, and every expression measured. The agent quickly realized the meetings were a window into their operations, a mix of camaraderie and paranoia. They discussed recruitment, propaganda, and the methods they used to instill fear. At first glance, it seemed like a fraternity of sorts, but beneath the surface lay a calculated, insidious agenda. He had to navigate carefully. One wrong move, one raised eyebrow could shatter his cover. Every handshake, every nod was a silent test of trust. He memorized names, alliances, and rivalries details that would later prove vital. What shocked him most was the subtle ways they justified their actions. The rhetoric, the twisted logic, they painted themselves as protectors of a way of life, as warriors against a threat only they could see. And yet, the underlying hatred was unmistakable. As weeks turned into months, the agent began to sense the network's reach, the influence they held in communities, the way fear was weaponized. These meetings were the engine driving their operations, and he was sitting right at the heart of it, documenting every secret, every plan, every sign of impending danger. He was learning their language, their codes, their silent signals, and with each passing meeting, he knew that the information he gathered could save countless lives, or, if discovered, could cost him his own. By now, the agent was no longer just an observer. He was embedded in the clan's operations, witnessing plans that went far beyond speeches and rituals. The meetings had revealed the scope of their ambitions, and soon, he found himself facing the darkest side of the organization, their deadly missions. Targets were selected, strategies discussed in hushed tones, and roles assigned with cold precision. Every mission carried the potential for violence, and every member was expected to comply without question. The agent had to play the part convincingly, silent, obedient, and loyal while keeping his own moral compass in check. He watched as recruits were sent on scouting trips, gathering information about their targets, testing neighborhoods, and even mapping escape routes. The level of planning was meticulous, almost military in nature. Every step had a purpose. Every detail mattered. One slip could alert law enforcement, worse, expose the undercover agent himself. As he followed these operations from the shadows, the danger became tangible. Threats weren't just theoretical. He saw the real fear in the eyes of those they targeted. And in the process, he also witnessed the thin line between fanaticism and outright terror line the Klan crossed without hesitation. But the agent's training kicked in. Every observation, every whispered plan was meticulously recorded. Each detail could be the key to stopping the violence before it happened. He had to stay calm, focused, and invisible, even as the Klan's deadly ambitions escalated. And yet, the stakes kept rising. With each mission, the risk of discovery grew. One mistake, one slip of the mask, could turn his undercover life into a deadly reality. But he knew this was the only way to dismantle the organization from the inside. One mission, one secret, one calculated step at a time. Inside the Klan, tensions were reaching a boiling point. Factions began to form, loyalties fractured, and rivalries threatened to erupt into violence. The organization that presented itself as united and powerful was, in reality, a house divided. The agent witnessed firsthand the whispered betrayals, the backroom arguments, and the quiet manipulation that fueled an internal war. Leaders jostled for control, accusing one another of disloyalty, while rank-and-file members grew increasingly uneasy. Fear and suspicion had replaced the blind loyalty that once bound them together. For the agent, this internal chaos was both a risk and an opportunity. The tension created cracks in the organization that could be exploited, but it also made every interaction more dangerous. Misreading, a gesture, a glance, or a word could expose him to suspicion or worse. Violence within the ranks was inevitable. Minor disputes escalated into brutal confrontations, sometimes resulting in injury or intimidation. Members who were perceived as weak or disloyal were targeted, and the culture of fear intensified. The agent had to navigate this volatile environment carefully, staying invisible while absorbing every detail. The internal war also revealed the human element behind the masks, the anger, the insecurities, and the desperation that drove people to join such a group. It was a stark reminder that dismantling the Klan would require more than arrests. It would require understanding the psychology that kept it alive. And while the organization was tearing itself apart from within, the agent's mission remained clear: to gather evidence to survive, and to bring the Klan's deadly plans into the light before they could claim more victims. Months of preparation, months of living a double life, all came down to this final operation that could dismantle the Klan from the inside. The agent had gathered enough evidence to expose not only the leadership, but also the network of dangerous plans that had been carefully concealed. The FBI meticulously coordinated every detail: hidden cameras, undercover meetings, and encrypted communications created a web of surveillance that captured the Klan's darkest intentions. Every member who had ever wielded fear as a weapon was about to face accountability. The night of the operation was tense beyond imagination. The agent attended a high-level meeting under the guise of loyalty, while FBI teams surrounded key locations, ready to move at a moment's notice. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on him. One wrong move could blow his cover, endanger his life, and compromise the entire operation. As the meeting began, leaders discussed plans that went far beyond rhetoric. They were plotting real acts of violence. The agent recorded everything, his heart pounding with the knowledge that these recordings could finally bring justice to the countless victims silenced by the Klan. Then came the signal. In a synchronized strike, FBI teams moved in. Arrests were made with precision. Weapons were seized. And the leaders who had ruled through terror were finally unmasked. It was the culmination of years of undercover work, planning, and relentless courage. For the agent, it was a mixture of triumph and relief, but also a profound awareness of the dangers he had faced. The operation was successful, but the scars of living in such close proximity to hatred and violence would stay with him forever. The operation had ended, but the echoes of its impact reverberated across the nation. Arrests had been made. High-ranking Klan leaders, foot soldiers, and long-hidden members suddenly unmasked and facing justice. The FBI had not only dismantled an intricate network of hatred, but also sent a powerful message. No one is untouchable when plotting violence in the shadows. The evidence collected by the undercover agent became the backbone of prosecutions. Courtrooms filled with chilling testimonies, hidden tapes, and photographs, each piece a testament to the dangerous world he had infiltrated. Families of victims began to find a measure of closure, knowing the people who had terrorized them were finally being held accountable. Yet, behind the headlines and public victories, the cost was deeply personal. The agent's identity remained secret, a life forever altered by the experience, the adrenaline of danger, the constant fear of exposure, and the moral burden of participating in acts he secretly condemned left invisible scars. Friends, family, and colleagues only saw the results, never the torment endured in silence. The nation watched as the Klan's influence waned. But the work was far from over. The operation had exposed a network, but hatred cannot be eradicated overnight. Vigilance, intelligence, and courage remained essential to ensure that history did not repeat itself. For the agent, the mission was complete, but the shadows of the past, the memories of betrayal and danger, would linger. In the quiet moments, he grappled with the duality of his life: hero to the law, stranger to himself. The mission was over. The Klan dismantled, arrests made, but the story didn't end with justice served. Behind closed doors, the agent faced a battle far more personal and enduring. Years spent living a double life, lying to friends, family, and even himself, had left invisible wounds. Every knock at the door, every phone call, every shadow in the night reminded him that the danger never truly disappeared. The adrenaline that once fueled courage now haunted him as anxiety, sleepless nights, and a lingering paranoia. He had seen the darkest corners of human nature, and they had carved a mark that would never fade. Even after leaving the field, reintegration into a normal life was a struggle. Relationships strained under the weight of unspoken truths. He carried the faces of those he deceived, those he saved, and those lost along the way. Memories of ceremonies, oaths, and acts of hatred replayed like a haunting film, impossible to rewind or erase. Yet, amidst the trauma, there was purpose. His work had protected countless lives, dismantled a dangerous network, and reminded the world of the courage it takes to stand against evil. But heroism came at a price, the price of identity, peace, and personal safety. In the end, the agent remained a ghost in plain sight, a figure whose sacrifices would be unknown to most, yet whose impact on history was undeniable. The shadows of the Klan were gone, but the shadows in his mind would always remain, a stark reminder of the cost of confronting the darkness.